Welcome to Barley and Me. I'm your host, Ben Rice. This is episode 106. We're here today in Half Moon Bay, California, talking to Dan Littlefield of Hop Dogma Brewing.
How's it going?
Dan, how you doing?
Doing fine. Got my as I said, my first beer of the night, so it's only going up from here.
This is a rarity because I caught you unawares, and I'm already one beer in, and this is my second beer of the night.
You're ahead of me.
Yeah, which usually doesn't happen.
Yeah.
I'm usually behind.
Usually I'm way ahead of everyone, like 24/7. So yeah, it's quite rare.
Yeah, thank you for doing this because this is kind of a guerrilla podcast where I just snuck up on you on a Friday night.
Thanks for doing it. I'm excited. Yeah, thanks for having me.
So how's business here at Hop Dogma?
It's great. Yeah, we've got the comedy show tonight, which the Comedy Sharks, which is second Thursday of every month and the last Friday of every month. And Phil Griffiths, buddy of a mutual friend of ours, puts it on. He does a great job and pulls a lot of the best comics from around the Bay Area, around the globe. We get incredible talent here. So we're super lucky to have that. And we've been at this new facility for about 6 to 8 months now. It's somewhere in kind of gray area there. The bar's been open a little bit longer.
Okay.
We kind of had a hostile kick out from our last facility, and we ended up just having to relocate real quickly. And this was only spot in all of Half Moon Bay that was zoned correctly to be a brewery. So we jumped on it real quick, but nothing in the building and planning department moves super quick. So it took a while to get the production brewery going, but we're in a really good spot now. We're cranking. We're putting out the best beer we've ever made. I think truly believe that, and it's been really fun, kind of breaking in the new space.
Yeah. So was there kind of a time where you didn't have beer available as you're making that switch over?
Yeah. I mean, we always had a little bit, but not enough. We brewed in Richmond at my friend's brewery for a few months just to kind of
keep it level.
Slowly keep just do what we could to keep the brand alive, because it was a very difficult time. And, we were going to Richmond 3 days a week, working 14-hour days to make very little beer. It wasn't a good situation. But the one thing I can say about it is that it makes this seem that much more special. Just I can walk to work and
beautiful.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Phil still be on the background story stuff, just because conversations happen with people
Yeah, it's
crazy.
It's pretty fucking crazy. Yeah,
it was a fun story. I don't know if you want to talk about it or not. It's in your past.
It's I mean, we still get a ton of questions like, "Why'd you move? We love the old spot and everything." And so did we. I mean, we never wanted to move. We never would have moved. The landlord, who happens to be a family member of mine.
This is a new piece of information for me.
He went mentally ill on us, and he's a lawyer, and he tried to commit several crimes against us, and he's in jail now. And it was a really unfortunate thing, but we're survivors. We've been through a lot since 2013 when we opened. I mean, we've been through an awful lot, and this was by far the toughest thing, but we're in a much better space now, both figuratively and it's like our brew house is much bigger. It's more efficient. It's a beautiful brew house. We have
cool spot, better parking.
Yeah, better parking. It's bigger. We're all in all, there's a silver lining here, and sometimes shit happens, and you just have to kind of power through it, and that's kind of what we did. So
yeah. Yeah, it's intense. And I've been to this location now 3 times. It's great. I just posted a picture of me drinking the beer I got here before I got here, and it's always like, oh, they make such good beers. I'm like, yeah, I've never ordered a beer and been like, oh, I wish I hadn't ordered that. Like, never.
Oh, awesome. Thank you. That means a lot.
It's very cool.
Thank you.
Because I was like, I've heard good things, but I haven't been there. Then, Comedy Sharks is a wonderful show also, like you were saying. Like, we got a comic from LA tonight coming in. And
I know, it's I have to admit, when Phil, first approached me years ago about
doing the old spot as well.
Yeah, doing a comedy show, I had a little bit of hesitation because I'd heard from other bar owners and stuff that the comedy didn't work out. People don't want to get up and order drinks. Like it might be a packed house, but
you're not making the money on the back end.
Yeah. And so I was a little nervous, but, right from the get go, first show, I mean, he crushed it. I mean, just brought in, I mean, everyone was sore. Stomachs were sore afterwards. I mean, it was just laughing, everyone was laughing so hard. And it just quickly, kind of went, viral in the town and beyond, and became a really cool thing that the coast, really needed. We previously had nothing like this to, entertainment wise. And we have Phil to thank for that. I mean, it was his vision.
Yeah. Yeah. I love doing, brewery comedy shows. I love doing comedy shows at breweries. 'Cause just like, there's ways to get around that fear of like, are we going to sell beer? 'Cause that is a problem for sure. 'Cause I host a few different ones up in Sacramento, and I'll always make sure to tell the crowd like, hey, as long as you're respectful, totally get up, go get a beer. Like this show pays better if you drink more, which isn't true, but like I'm sure Phil negotiates like a flat rate type thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's not all about the money, but we're, I didn't know how it would work out, but, he's a pro. They're going to keep doing it. You're going to keep doing the show as long as you're happy with what's going on with everything. Like, you can still be happy with how the show's going, but like the money thing's going to eventually become a thing. So I always try to make sure like, hey, remind the crowd that it's okay to go get a beer. It's okay to like, well, we're
walk
actually
out during the show and get up. Because usually it's not okay. There's a server that'll come to you, but like breweries don't have the staffing for that.
Yeah.
So to make it very clear,
tough.
like, please get up. It's okay. Yeah. No one's going to be mad. Just be quiet, as quiet as you can be, and it should be fine.
We're working on like a small expansion in the next few months. We're going to get the room that's right in front of the current space. So we'll have a little outdoor area. We'll have much more space. Going to kind of knock a little bit of the wall down, and we're going to get some kind of table service for the comedy shows for those nights. Right now, it's just a little too crowded in there to kind of
have the person be able to squeeze through and like make it not a racket. Yeah,
but it's something we're aware of. I mean, a lot of people ask us to do it, but it's all you have to do is show up to one of these shows that's packed and realize that's not feasible right now.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
But speaking of, I think you guys use what space you do have currently so incredibly well.
Thank you.
Like, I'm like, this is crazy every time I'm in here. Like it's utilized, like there's not a lot of it, but it looks like there's so much because of the way you put everything in there.
When we moved here, it was, I moved to this town, to Half Moon Bay area about, close to 10 years ago. And when I moved here, I didn't really know anyone, and, I'd kind of go on walks at night, and I walked into this, Harbor Village mall here, and there was a bar called the Wine Bar at the time in where Hop Dogma is now. And it was actually really cool. It just, no one knew about it, and they didn't serve beer. They had a few bottled beers, but it was a
wine bar.
It was a wine bar, really good wine, but kind of it was kind of during the recession, and it was just a bad time, and that place went under and nothing moved in, and so when we were kicked out of the old place, I was like, well, I know that was a bar before, so I wouldn't have to get a change of use permit, and
nice,
and we took a big chance because a lot of people call this the ghost mall, and there's the town has kind of a love-hate relationship with it, but we just knew when we took it over, we had to kind of transport you to some other place when you walked through the doors. It had, we kind of shot for like an abbey cave type of feel that was cool.
Yeah.
And I think we, for the most part, pulled it off. I mean, there's always things that you look back and, you could have done better, but we're really happy with the
There's something
space.
with your lighting rig. What is it? There's like there's a design like.
Well, we have a hop light.
Yes, that's
okay.
it.
Yeah,
Hop-shaped light.
I think it's technically like a lotus flower, but I was like, it looks like a hop.
Yeah, that's
and my wife was like, it might look more like a hop if you put like a green bulb in it. So we put a green bulb in it, and voila, you have a hop.
Yeah.
But yeah, we get a lot of comments on that.
And I'm like, I know I saw something, but yeah, like the whole space is just like. even going back to lights, the lighting is good. It's like kind of bright, kind of dim, like you said, cavernous, like you're having a bonfire in a cave. It's very cool.
Thanks. Most of that is like, it was my wife. I was so busy trying to get this area done, which for the people listening, I'm pointing to the brewery, which was a lot of work, and I was pretty consumed by it, and I kind of told her, roughly what I want, and she took it from there. I mean, she found all the materials, the design, like the wooden bar. I mean, she nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, you got to listen to your wife when it comes to design elements. You have to.
In more ways than one.
I've never been married, but I've had enough girlfriends to be like, you should listen when it comes to design. Like, now I walk into bars like, no purse hooks? I'm never coming back here.
Oh yeah, we heard that one many times. We at the old place we made that mistake, and it was like, found out really quickly we had to get purse hooks.
That is a deal breaker.
But we did a lot.
Half the people will come in.
We did a lot of stuff about. I mean, Kara was like, "We're putting a changing table in the bathroom," and I was like, "Okay," and I didn't think much of it, but I can't tell you how many people come in and they say, "Thank you so much for doing that."
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm a father of 3, and it's and I know what it's like when you're stressed out and you need a place to change a baby or just like do something, and so we really tried to think of everything, and I think most people really appreciate those little details, the little stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Like when I was younger, I would go to bars and I don't really like this bar, but I couldn't tell you why. And then as I got more like design focused girlfriends, I was like, oh, now I know why I hate these bars and why I love these other bars. And I'm like, you guys aren't going to do this with your place? What are you doing?
Well, it's funny too, because I remember just when you turn 21 and you're just, you're
just happy to be there.
You're just happy to be there. And really just the selection is all that mattered. And, as I get older and grumpier, I mean, I get pickier and pickier, and, I'm like, what I like, it's getting narrower and narrower, but yeah, I mean, I hope people like what we've done. And there's so many cool places now. It's competitive out there. So you have to offer the consumer more than just good beer. I mean, there has to be something more for them these days. And, we're constantly trying to open our minds to like what the answers are for that kind of stuff. Comedy's been obviously one of the successful things, and that was we were lucky to kind of stumble upon that.
So did Phil approach you like out of the blue, or had you already kind of known Phil for a little bit?
I believe he emailed me about it, and I was just like, yeah, let's meet and talk, and had a few beers, and that's it seems so long ago now, but I'm pretty sure that's what happened. I think he might have like put a gun to my head or something.
Yeah, no one can say anymore. Statute is run. It's totally fine. Yeah, Phil Griffiths, I think we used his last name earlier, but just in case we didn't, wonderful human being, and for my money, the best closing joke in the Bay right now. Have you heard his final joke of the night?
No, I don't think I know this one.
It's about him and his wife going to get massages together.
Can you remind me?
No, I'm not going to. I just want listeners to know, if you see a show where Phil Griffiths is on the bill, go. Because you're going to love him. He's a lovable human being. Like, his jokes are so good, and he's like just a fun comic to see on stage. But that final closing joke is one of the best I've ever seen. It's so funny.
He's got some amazing like punchlines.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's so many jokes in one joke. It's nonstop. Bullets like you're wheezing for breath, and he's like, "Here's one more for you."
Yeah, and he's so humble too.
Yeah.
It's he kicks off every show, and sometimes it's 5 minutes, sometimes it's 15 minutes or whatever. But he's a very gracious host. He makes sure everyone has enough time. And a lot of people ask me who's your favorite comedian that they've had there, and a lot of times Phil's the one I'm most familiar with, and I'm like, to be honest, like Phil's one of them. I mean, we've had so many good ones. It's overwhelming to think about all of them at this point. There's been so many.
Yeah. He books Killers. Since we're recording this during Comedy Sharks, it's possible some of the comedians on the bill tonight will come over and talk for a little bit, just randomly, and see what happens.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah. So right now, I know I have a smoked lager, and I can't notice my glass looks a lot like your glass.
Yeah, about
so twinsies,
half empty. Yeah, cheers.
But also, are you drinking the smoked lager as well?
I am. Yeah. This was a beer that I've wanted to do for a really, really long time, but as you know, we were kind of talking beforehand. I mean, it's a very polarizing flavor. The smoke in a beer, and lagers take a lot longer to make. So I just never had time to do it, and we finally were just like, we're either gonna do this or never do it. Let's do it. And I had a buddy, Dan from New Bohemia Brewing Company in Santa Cruz. He wanted to do one as well, and so I was like, let's get together and let's do this. So we just tapped this today, and I'm super proud of it. It's exactly what I wanted. It's a little different than a typical smoked beer. The smoke is it's more subtle than a lot of ones I've had, and we also opted to go with kind of more of like a Helles base instead of a darker like Rausch beer, traditional Rausch beer. But I mean, I love it. I think it's still super refreshing, but it has that. It's so interesting.
Yeah, and it's very, like you're saying, subtle, which in the craft beer world right now is not allowed. I don't know if you're aware of that.
Yep. Isn't that the truth, man?
How dare you not make this like reek of fire?
Yeah. Yeah. That's it's cool and unfortunate that we're at that stage. As a brewmaster, it does kind of drive me crazy sometimes because it's it's just like too much ain't enough, Yeah. And this was like an exercise in restraint.
Yeah. Yeah. I was just at a brewery. It was like, I made this like what I thought was going to be this big pastry stout, but I don't think I roasted my nuts properly to get the flavor out of them. And so it's like very subtly almond. I'm like, what's wrong with that? Like, I'm fine with a subtle almond.
Yeah, it doesn't have to overpower.
I don't have to be like, oh, there's almonds in here. The bottle says there's almonds. I'm aware of it. So I'll look for it. I'll find it, and it's there. It's just not as much as you'd hoped, and as much as like a lot of people would demand from like what's quote unquote a pastry stout. You know? And that's fine, trial and error. But like, it's a great beer still. But this one I really like because there's a little hint of smoke in the nose, and then the smoke and the taste comes in like once you're done.
Yeah, one of my colleagues said to me about smoked beer. He said the first pour it kind of smells like hot dog water, and and he's like and you're kind of unsure, and he was talking about when he was in like Bamberg, in Germany. These beers are everywhere there. I guess I've never been, but then you go for the second one, and you're kind of like, that was pretty good. I'll have another. And he's like, after the third, you're like, this is the best beer ever. And
I mean, obviously you have a few questions about it. Is it because you've drunk 3 of them?
Yeah.
Or is it just because like that smell had to go somewhere?
I'm sure a lot of beers, would taste amazing after 3, but
I've found it to be the case that a decent beer becomes really good about 2.5 beers in.
Yeah.
Very strange. Like, I think it's just because my palate's getting used to the flavor I wasn't expecting initially.
Yeah. Well, I've seen, you're probably familiar with like Untapped and beer rating,
No, I have no idea about it. You can follow me at Beer Devil's Advocate.
Beer Devil's Advocate. I like it. Nice. And I've seen people check in, like, they'll check in the beer the first one and they'll give it 3 stars or whatever. And then, for whatever reason, they'll get another one after that. And the next one's a little higher. And then it just creeps up as the night goes on. So, there's definitely some truth to that. And, but that's what beer does, man. It's when it's about good times, and it's about, it's about like taking a load off and just, and hanging out with friends and enjoying that moment. And that's, and I think, you show up at a bar and your chances are you're a little grumpier right when you get there than when you leave.
Yeah. I love the whole thing about beer. I don't know about you. I don't know how you feel about beer. Excuse me. That was crazy.
It happens. This is a beer podcast.
Yeah, exactly. It hasn't. I don't think I've burped into a microphone in like a long time.
Nice. First.
But do you remember what got you into it? Like made you really fall in love with it, and then maybe what made you go, I think I could do this.
I always drank a lot of beer.
I hear that.
I loved beer from the start. When I was a kid, I'd go
Adults.
I'd go to my parents were divorced. I'd go to my dad's house on like Wednesdays, and he didn't really have very much interesting in the fridge for a kid to drink, but he was trying to drink a little less at the time, and so he had all these non-alcoholic beers, and so he would just be like, have one of those, and I remember like, this is terrible, I thought, but I grew a little taste for those, and then when I got a little older and started having real beer, I was like, man, that's good, and I went on started developing an interest in the beer business and whatnot, kind of mostly right after undergrad, and I went to Cal Poly, and friends were introducing me to more interesting beers, and a couple years later, I met my wife, and she bought me a homebrew kit, and I went wild with it. I mean, the first kit was extract and the easy on the stovetop.
Oh.
The very next one, I bought all the gear that I was doing full all grain
within one brew. Yeah, like get rid of this plastic garbage.
I bought a ton of books. I really liked it.
Do you like what's in the garage? Because it has to go.
Oh, and I completely converted the garage to a brewery. I mean, I fell into a little bit of money, a small inheritance then, and so I had like a little bit of cash, and I bought like one of those more beer sculptures and did the I really went nuts with it, and my girlfriend back then, but she's like, this is ridiculous, and she's like, you need to like do this as a job or what. And I was a teacher at the time, and I loved teaching. It was really fun. I really did like it, but I wanted to do something more meaningful with my life, and started making beer.
That's a weird way to phrase that. But
yeah, I know. I've told that one before, but it's the truth. You want to join us?
Yeah. Come on over. Oh yeah, we are. Come on over. We got mics. Grab a mic, grab a chair. Let me move this one over.
All right, I wish I had like a table or something to prop them up.
I think I'll be okay.
Do you want to use this one? I'll sit there.
No, really.
I've already talked a lot.
I'll just hold it up to my face.
Okay.
Right, you know how mics work.
Yeah. I've used one.
And as we mentioned earlier, comics will be popping in and out of this thing, hopefully.
Rad.
If we've got our first one, Alex Love.
Hey. Hi.
Welcome.
She's a doctor.
Congratulations.
I am not a doctor.
I heard you're a doctor.
Yes. No, I have a master's. The PhD is coming later. It came to me in a dream last night. I was like, I got to do it. So one day. It's an Alex in her 30s type of thing. I got a couple years left.
Okay, fine. She's almost
Still
a doctor.
very good.
One
I got
day.
this rash and like you to look at.
Not that kind of doctor.
I don't know the words. Is it practitioner? Is that what we're using? I don't know how it works.
You need to go to a clinic. I've never caused anybody to have a spit take before. That's a new for me. Thank you.
And now, Alex, you and I know each other as people.
It's people, yeah.
And I have wanted to have you on this podcast for so long, but
I wanted to be on it for so long.
And you live in Oakland, and schedules suck.
Schedules do
and
fucking
so we're
suck.
doing this thing on a whim, and here you are.
Here I am. Yay. I'm on Barley and Me. Yay.
Don't be weird.
I can't help it. I'm too weird.
Only I'm allowed to fangirl. You can't.
Okay, I'll be cool.
It's
I'll be cool.
Nobody's impressed by me. It's not a thing.
I am. I think you're awesome.
That's true. It is true, but also keep it down.
Gotcha.
So, who are you?
I am a comedian. They can't see the air quotes, but I'm a.
Oh, did you really air quote it?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I do stand up. I'm a
Yeah.
comedian. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like beer.
Yeah. Love beer.
Yeah.
Do you want to be?
Yes, I would love a beer.
I'll be back.
Thank you.
She's got 2 IPAs, a sour, and a smoked lager.
Dealer's choice.
That's how I feel.
Yeah.
You're getting a smoked lager. Just so you
Should I sit over there now that he's gone? Oh, it's that close. I thought he was going to the bar over there. Okay.
This is a research and development.
So how does this work? What can I give you? We just talk
about whatever.
I wanted to thank you for something, actually. There was some stuff going on Facebook a couple days ago, and you really had my back, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You probably don't even remember it as specifically you having my back.
I know exactly what I did.
But you were, and they called you a white knight, and I was like, yes, but he is my white knight, and I appreciate it.
I was like, I don't need to bring out my credentials. Like, I don't feel like I need to be like, no, I've been a champion for women. I have 6 sisters.
Yeah.
I was raised by a single mom. Like,
yeah.
You think I don't understand how women work? Like,
thank you.
Like, jeez, I was so mad. I was like, I'm gonna.
I was mad too.
Because I'm like, there's no point. I'm not gonna convince these people they're wrong about how it goes. Like, that's what I love about this show tonight. Is there are no dudes on the show besides Phil. I'm like, yes. Do it, Phil. Get him out. I was so happy. I was like, I'm gonna do it.
Yes, I was very happy about this.
I'm so tired of talking to white dudes about beer. You know,
you're telling me.
And I can't change who I am, and I can't change who's making the beer. I can only change the guests. And I'm like,
that is true.
If I can just get.
Is beer is the brewery industry predominantly white male? That's a dumb question. Of course it is, right? It has to be.
It is.
Everything is.
Yeah, we a couple years ago, I went to a hop. I went up to Idaho and looking at some of the hops we were going to purchase for the year, and there's probably 120 brewers there, and we took this picture right at the end, and I'm looking at it on the way home, and I'm posting to Facebook, and I was like, I had a great time at the gut and tattoo white man get away, and it was like I think there was one black guy in the whole 120, but it is changing.
That's usually how it is.
It is actually. It's really starting to change. Really, just in the past year or so, there's a lot more women getting into the industry, which is great to see. And there's a lot more just overall diversity happening. There's, it's starting to change, and it's a great thing. It's like any other industry. It's like it's diversity that makes us
diversity
better.
Makes everything better. Yeah, including in comedy.
It's just if you want a different viewpoint to push things forward or something.
Yes. Fun fact about me, I love beer. I do. I have to say that on this podcast. But specifically, I really like Scotch. That's my normal go-to drink.
Really?
And that is a very white man drink. Yeah. Whenever old white men see me at a bar ordering that, they're like, oh, you bring this over to your husband? I'm just like, no, this is for me. It's
2019.
Yeah.
This is for me.
I like to get drunk faster.
So why wait? Like the peaty scotches?
Yes. I love the Oban. That's like the peatiest scotch. And it just tastes like a barbecue. I fucking love it.
She'd probably like the smoke
lager.
I'm like,
here, I just smoke lager.
Okay, let me try it.
I only have a few diseases currently, so this is fine.
You're a comedian. We have the same diseases.
Right, exactly. Not going to say anything.
But that's a super polarizing beer.
Right?
Yes.
Not many people like that peaty smoke
flavor,
so.
It makes a lot of people sick.
Yeah.
People smell it on me, they're like, oh.
Like, you're looking at me, I'm like, I want nothing to do with Scotch. I hate hard alcohol. It's just not for me.
Okay, that explains why you have a beer podcast then. This is your speed.
I would love to get into it. I'm like, maybe this year's the year I like, a strong whiskey, like a good Scotch. And I'm like, nope, still no.
Good, because beer is way cheaper.
It's true.
I have spent a lot of money. Like a good bottle of Blue Label is like $200.
Yeah,
it's a lot of money.
But you don't need as much of it.
That's true. So unless you're me, then you need more.
That's true.
You also feel pretty classy holding a glass of.
Oh God!
Oh my God! Yes.
One of the reps from BSG gave me those the ice cubes, the big cubed ones that sit there forever.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool. I'm never going to use these for anything but water, but cool to have.
It looks very cool when it's in water.
Very cool. Very cool. I was like, thank you. I know I'll find a use, but also I know you're hoping I'm going to use this with a bourbon.
You should put those in beer just to confuse people.
I would hate myself for putting ice in beer. I would hate me so hard. Although I think I have done it with a beer that wasn't refrigerated yet. I'm like, I want a beer now, but nothing's in the fridge.
Sometimes you have to adapt.
Cube.
Do people use whiskey stones for beer? Because that seems like it would be better.
See, that's basically what this is like.
I think we're onto something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they could. It's just there's going to be that curve where people are like, I don't think that's right. But people used to think that beer in cans was bad, you know?
Oh man, there's no rules anymore.
No,
it's,
everything you thought as a kid was wrong. It turns out, like when you become an adult, you got to be practical. Like cans are great.
I mean, we have the glitter beer now. We have the pastry stouts.
Glitter beer?
Oh yeah, you haven't seen glitter beer? Ooh.
No, I haven't been on Pinterest
I'm not
today.
gonna make one, but
who does make a glitter beer around here? Is there somebody around here who makes a glitter beer?
Well, there might be a brewmaster, James Costa. No, but there's it was a hot thing for a minute. I would say but the best cellar maker made a glitter beer for Pride Week, which was pretty cool. And like I think 100% of the profits from that beer went to good causes related to Pride Week, and then there was.
That's cool.
And then Three Weavers, which is a brewery owned by three women. They do, I think, once a year, twice a year, they do a cool glitter beer, but it's pretty cool. It's edible glitter. It's
I dig it.
It's pretty to look at.
Yeah. I was worried about mostly the back end of this particular beer style.
Yeah.
Like, nope. Don't want it in my body because it's going to either stay in there or come out in a bad way. And
it would be worse if you take too much and then you vomit glitter like a unicorn.
You make it sound like it's worse, but that sounds better.
You're right. It sounds better coming out that way. Glitter shits would be kind of dope, though.
But you can't
like take a picture of
it. You could, but like
I mean,
it's for you, but also
I have very close friends who would love to see that.
Yeah, but you got to remember at the same time, like I got to remember to turn around. Look at this. Do it in a place that doesn't have an automatic flushing bathroom, like toilet.
Yes.
If you're like, oh god, it's like 3 a.m. Where am I gonna go? Like you might lose that shot. You know.
I'm glad that we're thinking this through so thoroughly.
I have nothing better to do. So, how did you find beer, Alex?
I was in a sorority and I got hazed a bunch. Basically, I mean, like growing up, my mom is a wine person and my dad is a Scotch person. So those are the only, like, they let me drink around the house as a kid, but it was never like beer.
Right.
And honestly,
not some low class, low rent Pabst. No, thank you.
My dad, like, occasionally I had beer, you know what I mean? But it always smelled so gross to me. Like, I was like, this is so disgusting. I didn't start drinking beer until I was in college and I had a bunch of shitty beer. Mm-hmm. It was mostly Pabst.
Yeah.
Because I went to Santa Cruz and that's what we had down there all the time. That and Lagunitas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And then I got a little older and started doing like comedy and stuff at breweries and like, oh, beer is like actually pretty cool. So like it's been like 5 years since I've like enjoyed beer. Basically.
Nice. Do you remember what the first one that you loved was? Like beer, like, oh shit, okay.
Fat Tire.
Oh yeah.
I really, to this day, I still really like Fat Tire.
Oh, to this day.
Yes. I in general, that and like any dark beer, like if you have a good stout that tastes like coffee and like has like notes of vanilla and shit, I'm into it.
Dan, I feel like you might have a beer for this person.
Yeah. Yeah, we just got a gold medal at the U.S. Open Beer Championship, which is, I think, the second biggest competition in the U.S. right now, but just only behind the Great American Beer Festival. But we got coffee stout, and we're on the last keg, so I got to get you one before you leave.
You got gold.
Yeah, we got a gold. Yeah,
no way.
Pretty stoked. Yeah,
Congratulations.
It was only our second time making that beer, and so I was pretty stoked.
Hell yeah, man.
Yeah.
It's called Venti is Large.
Venti is Large.
Oh my God, I had that. I had that when I was it was very good. Good for you guys.
It's no big deal. It's just the best coffee stout in America currently.
It was a very good stout. I really enjoyed it. Thank you.
No, we have fun making that one. We use a Catahoula coffee in it. Do you know?
Yeah.
From the East Bay roasters. So pretty cool to give a shout out to them because they've been awesome. I've like called them up and like emergency. I'm like, I'm making a coffee stout. I forgot the coffee.
Wow, I'm an idiot. I didn't actually connect the dots that you would actually put real coffee in there. I thought it was like an essence of coffee flavor. I didn't think it was real coffee.
We just take the beans and we hang them in the bright tank, and we basically just transfer the beer on top of the beans for 2 days and then carb it up and keg it.
That's wild. I should like do a tour of a brewery one day. Like that sounds really fun. I want to know how you guys make this.
It's very fun.
Yeah, it seems really hard actually. Look at all these huge ass contraptions.
Yeah. They are big. We have the biggest tank yet coming. We just finished this floor piece right here. It's like we have a 20 barrel tank coming.
I will not.
It's I'm terrified because getting these things in here was honestly the hardest thing I've ever had to do in my life. And
yeah, where's your access point?
Oh,
yeah.
I mean,
is it these rolling doors?
We literally had to
tilt it down.
We had to chop areas of walls out just to fit it through. It weighs like 6,000 pounds, and the platform was already here, so we couldn't use a forklift or anything. So we basically it was like 12 guys lifted that, and it's top heavy, so it's like swinging around. And I mean,
oh my god,
if we ever go out of business, I'm literally just giving that to the landlord, just like it's your
auction it off.
You can have it.
Do what you want.
Not moving that shit
Not
again.
moving it, ever.
There's so many breweries like that. They're like, we're just going to leave this here. Ideally, you sell this to another brewer. I don't know what to tell you. Like, there's so much reinforcement at the bottom that's going to be a pain to dig out. You can do it. I'm not.
Yeah.
Ideally, sell it to another brewery.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, we always joke, like, that when we're, like the other day, we were ripping up like roofing material that we had on the ground. And I mean, it was like awful.
Wow.
And we looked at each other and I'm like, so you want to own a brewery, do you?
I didn't realize this was not a ramp. I didn't realize
That's
like
crazy.
It's literally
Yeah, it
like
didn't occur to me
a foot
either.
and a half up.
Yeah,
like,
we're on
no way to like just slowly push something up.
I wouldn't have gone to the gym for like 3 months after that. That's
I'm
a lot of work.
sore.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, no.
Yeah, we're on like post-tension concrete though, so there's cables. There's a parking lot underneath us, so it's like we couldn't just cut into the concrete, so we had to do a ramp or a platform. If you,
you guys are a genius because I would have just given up. We would just be serving beer out there.
Oh my god.
Yeah, never again.
Yeah. So, Alex, this is your chance to ask all the questions you've ever wanted to know about beer and about
you?
human beings.
Can I ask
Also
about
me,
you?
Yeah, I'll answer questions.
Have you noticed that you and Becky are the Sacramento version of me and Hayden? Like,
I mean,
exactly.
I'm just going to point out that you guys just celebrated 1 year together.
I know that you guys have been together
like
for
the
way
other
longer,
day, and
but
we're at
also
3.5 years, and
I didn't realize
then
it was a
some.
competition.
Well, I'm just pointing out if we're going to say who's what's version, the original is the comparison point.
Let me rephrase that. Me and Hayden.
I love Hayden, by the way.
Hayden loves you.
No.
And I love Becky.
He's
and
mad
you.
at me for that picture I took 4 years ago of him eating like a taco hunched over.
He does that. He eats tacos hunched over. He eats everything hunched over.
I got him in the worst. Like it's so like ferret-like in his the way that he did it. I'm like, I'm gonna post it. He's so mad at me for it, for sure, still to this day.
Okay, then I guess by proxy I have to be mad at you too.
I mean,
but...
I understand entirely. I was like, it's a good shot. I feel like it really captures his essence. But some people don't want to face who they are.
He doesn't like pictures in general.
All right.
Yeah, we had our anniversary dinner the other day, and he did not want to take pictures at it. He like there was like couples all around us taking pictures and shit, and he was just like, hard pass. People know what we look like.
Yeah. Yeah. I hate pictures of me. I don't want anything. I don't want any of them. I'm like,
I've never seen a picture of me and been like, that's good.
Yeah. Great job. You really made me look good, but also
That's
like
fair.
myself. Like, it's like, this picture came out good. That's a lie. It's a misrepresentation of who I am, and I want nothing to do with it.
See, that's the difference
This creates
between
an
me and
unreal
Hayden.
expectation.
And you, I guess. Like, I don't know if that's a guy-girl thing, because every girl also hates every picture of herself that's ever been taken. But guys will skip the hatred and just say, don't take a picture of me. Girls will say, take a picture of me. Oh, no, I hate it. It's gross. Delete it.
Yeah. I've been yelled at so many times for posting pictures that Becky did not approve of. I was
She's
like,
beautiful. There's no bad angles on Becky.
that's what I think. And apparently I am very wrong about such things. I'm like, you look great. What are you talking about?
Can I ask you why you wanted to do this podcast? Did you work in the beer industry? Or?
No, never.
You just really like beer?
I did it because it's a very self-serving reason. I was like, I know a lot of people in the beer industry just from drinking a lot. And they tended to like me. Like I go to parties with like brewers. They're like, "Hey, come over. We're doing a thing." And I'm like, "Cool, totally fine." And then Jamie Fernandez asked me to do like a blog post about beer that was like kind of funny. I'm like, I don't really want to make jokes about beer. It's not funny. It's like a serious business that I love and adore and respect. And then people kept talking about podcasts, and I didn't give a shit about podcasts.
Right. Who did?
Like before I started doing this, I listened to 0 podcasts. The only reason I listened to podcasts was before I did this was to figure out what podcasts were like for beer.
Yes.
And be like, oh, this 2 guys drinking a beer and telling you it's good or bad. Who gives a shit? Like, that's like my very first idea was, what if I went to the brewery and talked to the person who's making it about who they are as human beings while we drink beer? And I'm
Fuck
like,
yeah.
Who's doing this? Nobody? Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah.
Like, it's literally like I was like, oh, people listen to these? Cool. Can I do one that's unique? Oh, all right, great. We're done.
Those are the 2 steps to making a podcast.
In the industry. Like I had somebody that told me like I didn't know this when I was talking to him, but Rick Sellers, do you know Rick Sellers at all from Pacific Brew News, Sam Horn's Tavern in Folsom?
Pacific
Brew News?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I've never met him, but I know Pacific Brew News.
Yeah, so it's
okay.
So he was a bartender at this beer bar in Folsom that I consider my personal Disneyland. It's like my favorite bar. And I found out later he had like the first beer podcast ever. But he's like, hey, I'll do the first one. I'll tell people that you're worth talking to.
Oh,
and like
that's
that was,
nice.
I was like, oh shit. I like ran the idea by him. It's a good idea, and I'll help you. I was like, oh shit. Okay. All right. We'll do it.
You actually, this is, okay, here's why I had a podcast for 3 years at a station that will remain nameless.
Okay.
It was 2 hours long.
I gotta suck in very quick.
Yep. Speaking of pictures,
I was gonna say, I'm like, it's gonna be terrible.
No one was good podcasting, especially when you're having fun, smiling.
Yeah.
Rough.
But I had a podcast for a long time, and it was really hard to do, and it was really terrible. And I realized it was because the idea wasn't original. It was me talking to comedians. Like fucking Mark Maron did that, and 50 other people have done that since me. You know what I mean? So good for you for having an original idea.
Unfortunately, people have stolen it a whole bunch. And,
that's how you know it's good.
They had better marketing, and I'm like, now I'm just bringing up the rear. But
I mean, one day you'll be there. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm gonna
like it just takes time of like having like a following.
Yeah.
Like I work in publicity, and 90% of like doing publicity for anybody is like a following that they already had.
Yeah.
Which seems
like
counterintuitive.
Yeah, because it's crazy going. I'll look at my list and like they're not doing. It's not great.
Yeah,
and then like I'll go do guest on a podcast and like you had the most listens of any podcast I've done in the last 6 months. Like why? No one cares what I'm doing. Like,
obviously people do,
but
that's why your podcast is unique because you have a voice that people actually give a shit about. So that's step one.
Hold on, because you weren't here for the intro before we started recording, where I say. The more of me there is, the worse we're doing. Like, if we can keep me out of this is going to be fine.
Gotcha. Well, I'd love to talk. I have 2 beers in me, so
that's what I have found. People love to talk, and it's just
ask me whatever you want about me.
I've been doing interviews for 30 years. I know what I'm doing.
Really?
Talk
You've been doing interviews for 30 years? You're
my
not 29?
I'm 36 years old. My dad sent me a bunch of tapes of me doing like interviews with friends when I was like 4 years old.
Oh, that's so cute.
And they were like, pretty good for a 4-year-old. And then they were like really good for a 6-year-old, you know? And then
I'm
like,
impressed.
Oh. And then like when I was like, my first job was like awful, but it did involve interviewing people over the phone. And I'm like, and like I did music reviews for a while, so I'd like interview people on the phone and like in person. So that's like I've been doing it since I was like professionally since I was like 19 years old. I've been interviewing people.
I mean, it shows. You're very good at this.
Don't do it.
I can't stop myself, man. I'm such a
Don't give me
big
compliments.
fan.
I don't know how to take them. All the time. I've never...
Oh man, you are Hayden.
Yeah. Like I remember I was applying for the job where I had to interview people on the phone, and they're like, "Well, you don't have any phone experience. You've never worked in a call center before." I'm like,
"What?"
I'm like, "Have you interviewed your second favorite musician of all time face to face?" They're like, "No." I'm like, "Well, I fucking have, so I think I'll be fine on a phone." Like, it was Trey Spruance from Faith No More and Mr. Bungle.
No way.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Faith No More fan.
Yeah. That was crazy. We had like a 3-hour conversation. I was like, "Oh shit, I don't want to transcribe this at all. It's going to be so much work."
Oh man, I think that not my first concert, but the first like band I ever like got to go to and that I was a huge fan of was Faith No More. Warfield, like when I was 14 or something.
So
that was,
good.
I mean, my first concert was also at the Warfield when I was a child. Yeah.
Right on.
It was Arctic Monkeys.
No way.
No, it wasn't my first concert. That was my first rock concert. My first real concert was TLC when I was like 8. I was too young to be there. But it was before Left Eye died, and it was fucking incredible.
Yeah. Like Crazy Sexy Cool time.
Oh my God, yes.
Such
it was
a good
like
album.
the time that I knew I didn't just like boys.
Yeah. Because they are beautiful.
They are beautiful.
That stuff's it's
Okay.
like timeless. Like
I
it came
get
on the other day at home. We had a 90s mix thing going on.
Yes.
Chasing waterfalls.
It still brings tears to my eyes.
Yeah.
I love it.
Telling my kid,
But I feel like you
kids
should
on
go
the left
chasing
side, don't stop.
waterfalls.
You
It's a
should.
life lesson. It's
Chase
stick to the
waterfalls.
rivers and lakes you're used to. No room for growth. Thanks, TLC.
Oh, I've never done a close reading of that song before. Thank you.
You're
I'm
welcome.
very excited.
There's a message there.
You know what? I feel like that song, if you listen to it, I haven't listened to it in years, but I feel like maybe that chorus is there as somebody giving them advice that they went against. They're like, my mom told me this stuff.
Yeah,
And I'm like,
I need to listen to it
I'm
again
like,
on my way
Excuse
home.
me, I'm going to be a famous musician.
I'm going to chase some
I
waterfalls.
know you want me to sing in the church choir, but I'm going to go be international, baby.
It's time for baby to break out.
Yeah, I feel like that's what the chorus is somebody giving them advice that they did not heed.
I should like
That's my
go
hope.
home and look up the lyrics of the song, and then I'm gonna
We could do
message
it
you
now,
about
but,
this.
like, who has
we
the
could,
time?
but who has the time?
Nobody
Who has
has
the
the
energy
time.
for that?
I don't know if the mic's picking this up. This
Not
crowd's
me.
going nuts.
This
What's
crowd's going
happening right
nuts.
now?
Oh my
Someone
God.
did something funny.
Something so good.
Oh, probably Becky, because
She's
she's
great.
fucking hilarious. This is really nice. I'm really happy that I'm on this podcast. I'm a big fan. I know you said not to say that 3 times, but I am.
Live
I
your
think you're
life.
great.
I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just going to say don't do that.
It's really cool for me because, Phil will attest to this. I'm always too much of a hermit to go in there during the shows. A lot of times, like I'll kind of stay in the back for a minute, but I just feel like I'm getting in the way, and the bartenders are like, get out of the way, like so I come in here
Because
and
you like to pace, right? You're like stalking.
yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
I'm like looking around at what needs to happen, and I make people uncomfortable. I guess someone told me that.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. But I watch it on my phone in here on the Nest camera, and like I've been in here like and erupted in laughter, and people like are walking by and just
What's
see
wrong with
me
this guy?
like what's going on in here?
Nothing. Everything's fine.
I like the idea that you're watching me on a camera. That's awesome.
I like the idea of your own
being
staff
awesome.
kicking you out of your own venue. Like, please leave.
That is very funny.
I have no respect. It's they're like, Dan, shoo.
Please go.
But also, I feel like I do that just as like someone that does comedy at bars. I feel like they know that I'm not going to pay for anything. So I'm the asshole that's blocking everyone's way.
Yeah.
So I understand.
Well,
I hate it.
I'm in here a ton, and I'm so incredibly ineffective behind the bar at this point because I don't do it anymore. When we first opened, I did it, but now I suck. I get behind the bar and I'm just like, where's the button for that? And I mean,
You're like, get.
yeah, so I'm pretty useless over there. So yeah, I just hide in here now.
This is a cool place to hide.
Yeah.
So is your issue mainly with the POS system as opposed to the beer
Everything.
pouring?
I can pour a beer with the best of them, but like I don't know what the hell I'm doing on the POS anymore, or when someone asks for like, God forbid, like a gift certificate or something, I'm just like, oh fuck, like oh shit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
It's a weird regret to have for a person who
Phil's
has
here.
a career, but I regret never having worked a POS ever in my life. I refused to be on register when I was a kid because I was so nervous and like I didn't
a
like
lot of
being
pressure.
watched.
Yeah.
I was like, I just want to be in the back cooking. I don't want to be here. Don't do this to me. And I've never ever rung up a receipt. Now I'm too old to learn. I'm just put me out to pasture if I can't do these interviews.
I've actually faked it before when I can't figure it out. I'm just like, $7 and just pretend like I've pressed buttons and stuff and
He's sneaking around you.
Oh, yeah, please go right ahead.
Yeah.
Phil ruining everything again.
It was my fault. I could have just wherever you.
You probably sit on that now.
Thank you for
It's an
You sure?
improper angle.
I'll
Very,
just wait.
very
You're good.
suggestive.
thank you
angle.
for booking me on the show. It was
Well, thank you
very
guys
fun.
for coming out. This is
Yeah.
a fun one.
This is Phil Griffiths. We've been talking about you all night.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
You're the
Phil.
best.
Yeah. You talking to Dan about how great everything is? The beer.
Unfortunately.
It's amazing.
Beer, the comedy, the
Don't drink it.
competition.
Yeah.
I think that's like the main part. That's what I love. Like whenever I get to share the beer, which is the best part. Like all the comics like, oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we were talking earlier about how it all started and what it's turned into, and it's pretty cool to think back on, just that first comedy show compared to what things that are happening now, and it's been a fun ride.
Yeah, and we've had some confusion about how this comedy show started. It was possibly an email or possibly a hostage situation. Do you remember which one it was that got you to start the show?
And I know I went in there and I was like, oh, this place is pretty cool. Oh. And it was small enough at the time where I was like, even if there's 10 people in here, it's going to feel pretty full. And so I think I emailed you or messaged you.
That's
But I also think I talked to you in person. You're like, email me.
Story than the one I did.
Yeah, I think I just. I remember being there. I remember talking to you, and I was like, "Yeah, I think this will work."
Okay, I don't know what's going on.
You don't need to know what's going on.
Yeah, we're switching.
And here we have Krista Fatka.
Oh, hi.
Cannot drink beer.
Thank you.
Yet I am.
And yet she's
rolling the dice.
All odds.
Daring person.
I'm thumbing my nose at my gluten sensitivity and having a beer like a normal human being. It's just fun to be on your team every now and then.
All of us, you're going to, in public, seem totally normal, and then in private,
like Hitler ate meat in the closet. He was a vegetarian. That's air quotes I'm doing.
Coming in hot, Krista Fatka, right off the bat with the Hitler.
So my Holocaust material killed in there, so I just thought I'd close the loop.
Oh, we heard the crowd going fucking bonkers.
This is post-tension concrete, so it shakes.
Oh, you
people
feel it.
laugh too hard.
Oh, nice.
So unfortunately, you sit still.
Yeah, sorry about the damages that incurred from all the laughter.
Yeah.
And then they say, "Oh my god!" It's a joyful memory I think about every time I pop. Which is never on Southwest Airlines. And not because I'm banned, but because I'm not. I tried to write a letter to the CEO, and as I'm writing, I was like, he's never going to believe this. I'm in the wrong. But I don't fly Southwest because a woman got sucked out of a fucking window. I didn't fly on the Southwest. Are we not talking about that still?
Find out why Joanne Schinderly hates Southwest Airlines by checking out her brand new debut comedy album, Dark Jeans, available on Comedy Dynamics Records and also wherever you get your downloads. So iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, go check it out. It's already hit number 1 on the iTunes comedy charts when it was released on Friday, August 2nd. It's a hysterical album, and she's doing her proper album release show at the Comedy Central stage in Los Angeles on Tuesday, August 6th. Featuring Will Miles, Becky Robinson, Dom Gelin, and recent winner of Portland's Funniest Person, Adam Pasi. So go check that out. It's Joanne Schinderly, Dark Jeans, 45 minutes of menstruation material. If you go see her live, if you go buy her album, proceeds from those purchases will go to buy feminine hygiene products for homeless women in the areas where those shows are happening. So it's even a good cause on top of a very good, very hilarious comedy album. Back to the show.
What are you guys talking about before I just dropped the Holocaust bomb?
Phil starting this show.
How we started the show. But it kind of worked right from the start. We got really lucky in that the community kind of came out right away. And
Yeah. I mean, as we were saying earlier, it was like I was a little worried, hesitant, just because I've heard other establishments tell me like, don't do the comedy shows just because people don't get up during the show because they're afraid the comedians are going to pick on them or whatever. And I was completely naive at that. I mean, I'd never owned a bar or anything. I had no business owning a bar, but it worked right from the get go. I mean, it was like, I think I would say that second, third show, I mean, it was really evident that word was getting around, and Phil was out on the streets with the flyers and getting the hype going. Now it's, I mean, it really is something that the community here really looks forward to, because there's not a whole lot going on. It's a sleepy town, and this really was a game changer. I mean, it's like the community, the town needed this. And
I'm surprised Big Little Lies hasn't just created a boom of tourism and
it's too
Money.
far south.
Yeah, it's
No, too
Monterey.
far
You got to
south.
spend an
really?
hour or so. It's a whole deal.
It's a whole another place.
Okay,
Krista.
sorry to lump you guys too. I'm so sorry.
Well, I like that, Phil, you're picking the perfect comic playbook, which is, of course, find a cool venue
Yep.
in a small town with nothing else going on.
Yep.
Then all you need to do is book good talent,
Yep.
and you're good. Because the problem you're probably having with other people, like, oh, it's not good, it's because they had bad bookers who booked bad talent. That's really going to ruin a show.
Yeah.
And I've been following Phil for a while. I know who he is. And, like, every lineup, I'm like, Jesus. This lineup is stacked. Like, this is a great lineup.
But it's all names you don't know. No one would know any of these people's names. But if you're in the comedy scene, like, you have a sense of, like, who can actually, like, carry a room that maybe needs a little work to get them on your side. And
I think that's always been my goal, is just with every lineup has just been like, it's got to be people that I know can handle their 10, 15 minutes or 20 minutes, and I know they're going to work with the crowd here, and they're going to put on a good show. Like, even now I know I can leave the room because I know I have a comic up there as a professional, and even if shit goes bad, I trust her to work it out, and I don't have to be like sitting there managing it, because even in the first couple we had to like train the audience a little bit. We're like,
there's always the audience training.
Yeah, there's a bunch of that, but I mean that got pretty, once you were like, do what you need to do to get the show going, it kind of gives me free reign. So
didn't something weird happen here last show?
No, it was a couple shows. Well, it was about a year ago now, right?
Oh, a year ago?
There's been a few weird moments.
The second
There's been a few weird ones.
Okay.
There's been one, but I mean, it gets handled.
With any show.
And there's always going to be a heckler or whatever.
Show, like one comic, one audience member can
there's
make
alcohol
the show.
involved.
What?
Bad
You guys serve alcohol?
Bad stuff
I
happens.
gotta go. I'm sober.
I'm a Christian.
I'm
a good Christian. My skirt's to the floor. I don't. Yeah. I wear a bonnet.
I can't tell you though how many times. At least once a week I get either a friend or a friend of a friend going, heard you did comedy shows. Like, can I sign up? And I usually just, it's like when I know the people, they're funny people. I mean, like, but I'm like, but you're not a comedian. You're not like a professional. And I mean, Phil's brought in such high quality talent. I mean, we really are lucky. I mean, him and I always, we've had the same social media post several times about the, like, thank you to everyone who's come out. And if you haven't checked out a show yet, you're really missing out here. I mean, it's like, it's really special.
What are you gonna do? Go bowling again?
Yeah. Nobody wants to go to Pacifica, so we don't have bowling out here.
What are you gonna go do? Go to that Taco Bell cantina?
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the best part. I think is just even when you guys. That was what's cool is when they started was that how like community really kind of came around, even just to support Hop Dogma on its own.
Yeah,
and then. Obviously, I got to tap into that, which was nice, but it just really grew like from all that. Even when you moved over.
Well, I think when we did have some hard luck and everything, we had to move. I think a lot of the people that we'd met along the way and the support that grew as a result of that, honestly, came from these comedy shows too. I've met so many people. I mean, like I said, I spy through my camera on my phone because I'm shy, but it's I've met so many people as a result of these shows, and when we moved, it was really scary, but a lot of the people that are regulars, I guarantee they're in there right now. I mean, they were the first ones showing up when we moved. So
scary? Why? Bigger space, more rent, that kind of thing.
Well, we were going through a scary time in which kicked out of the old spot, and it's a long, incredible story, but
that you can hear 47 minutes ago.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, this is commonly referred to as the ghost mall. There's
it's spooky.
Yeah,
I was harassed by a ghost in the bathroom.
Yeah, there's not a lot in here. Yeah,
that's Phil.
That was not me. Yeah.
But the community has kind of a little love-hate relationship with this building and complex and everything, but it was the most convenient and easiest move for us, and kind of just had to take a leap of faith, and that's what I mean by scary. And I was just like, we've met enough cool people. They're gonna support us and
follow us to the strip mall.
And they did.
Spooky strip mall. Yeah.
I mean, it is. I mean, even on the shows, it's hard even doing material as the host because I'm always like, these guys have heard all my stuff for 6 years.
That's the worst part.
So, I just work on
6 years?
It'll be 6 years in December.
Wow.
Jesus,
Congrats.
really?
Yeah.
I
So
thought
it's-
it was
I didn't know you were that old.
Yeah. The gray hair hides it. Well, but so it's for 6 years. But so now it's hard to, because I'll see the same faces all the time. Like, oh, well, like 50% of the people have been to this
Probably why
show.
you're so good then.
But that's like my
don't know.
friends coming to my shows. I'm like, I'm going to repeat everything, but I booked an awesome
Yeah,
lineup.
yeah,
I mean,
right. Exactly.
they're
Yeah.
not there for you. They love you, but they're not
Yeah.
there for
Yeah.
you. Yeah.
But that's actually why I started the show too, is because, well, one, my wife was like, you're way too much, so something close to home would be nice. So it was nice to have a show on the coast that I can get better at hosting, to get to work in the clubs, and that actually helped me a ton. I've learned a ton just from hosting this show and being able to book the show and produce the show and flyers and all that stuff. It helped me learn the whole game really quickly.
Yeah, and I already said your current closer is one of the best in the Bay. I
thank
love
you.
it so much.
Thanks.
I've
It's a
seen
fun
it
one.
probably 20 times. Like, I still want to hear it.
I know. I still laugh. It's
Front
hard to
back,
follow.
I still
Yeah.
laugh. I'm like,
Why am
why
I
does-
drawing a blank on this?
The massage bit.
The
You heard
massage.
the
Oh,
bit?
no, the massage bit.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
said the massage bit.
yeah.
The one that you've seen
Okay.
45
Yeah.
times now.
It's
Yeah.
so funny every time. Like, I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I still laughing?
Yeah.
I could probably tell that I can't, but
So I have a question about the beer.
I'm going to scoot really quick before I go. I'm going to go back.
Phil. Thanks for your contributions to this
Bye, Phil.
podcast. We're going to talk about beer now. When I was at the smaller space, I remember you were like very forward about the fact that you like have an enzyme that you add to the beer that reduces the gluten in the barley.
You're gonna
That's
go there, huh? No.
yeah, we're going there. It feels personal. It does.
Okay,
As a glutard myself, I really appreciated that, and now it's like you're not like this. I am drinking a beer, and I will have hives tomorrow. Someone behind the bar said, "Oh, it's 90% gluten free," which just doesn't mean anything to me.
What beer are you drinking there? Is that
The lager.
That's probably the best choice for gluten sensitivity. I mean, it's the least amount of grain and whatnot. But so we were using an enzyme that reportedly stripped the beer of almost all of the gluten, and we were kind of like one of the first people to figure that out.
It was very innovative.
I mean, well, I just read it in a magazine. And I was like,
Death and Taxes. Do you know about that beer? Yeah, they do the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'll order that, and I don't react to it, but I'm curious about the process.
Well, so we were using that for a while, and I first started using it just because it made a clearer beer. It's actually like that. People were using brewers. It's called Clarex. They were using that for years just to make beer clearer. But
I'm pulling that sweet gluten out of it.
Yeah, it started to get more and more expensive because it got cooler because it was stripping the gluten, and then there was shortages of it, and it was really hard to get for a while. And for us, like for me, the biggest factor is I didn't like what it was doing to the flavor of the beer.
Okay,
it was stripping a little too much flavor out of it, and yeah, it was a really hard call. I mean, I do think that if we're getting a new tank here pretty soon, and we're gonna have a little extra capacity, and we were talking as
you're
a
gonna
team.
throw the glutards a bone and put up a Clearex station over here.
This beer, this is not going to be a gluten-free beer. This is the dank tank we're calling it. It's the alpha dank tank. But
Throwing it to the tiny little one in the back corner.
But it will
that
free
nobody
up.
looks at.
Yeah, it will free up another a tank to. We were talking the other day because we still get a lot of questions about like gluten-reduced beers and everything. You're never going to get all the gluten out.
Yeah.
Sure.
But you can get a lot out. But it has it. I from what I've read and heard is that it doesn't remove as much as they thought it did, but it does remove a lot.
Right. Well, there's a lot of, and I totally understand from a cost perspective, like you're a small business and you just want to like stay afloat, and that makes sense. But for me, like as a gluten person, I'm always like walking into a bar where I'm like, wow, what a missed opportunity, or not a bar, a brewery.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, you could keep a 6-pack of, one of these gluten beer or just like a bottle of wine, I'm like, I literally can't drink anything here. I mean, I'm doing it tonight just because whatever, like sometimes I do, but I just think it's so easy to be like, yeah, a bottle of wine costs $10. Just like charge $10 a glass so that when you open that bottle, at least you're breaking even and you're satisfying there's a group of 6 people with one person that like literally
Bad news about wine for Krista. Go.
Oh, well, I mean,
is wine bad for you?
No, it's a different license. You need
it's
cider.
It's the same thing.
Considered wine as it's fermented from fruits.
Jesus.
But and this just pertains.
Weed?
Totally okay.
Love it. No, but it just pertains to us. But we, as I was mentioning before, we are getting another room in the next few months, and I'm trying to get a separate license for that room so that we I think it'd be like a 42 or something, and that would allow us to carry some other people's products as well. So we could have wine, we could have cider. But right now all we have is a Type 23. We're only allowed to serve the beer that we make, and the parameters that what they define as beer and cider and everything is so ridiculous. It's like, but we don't want to risk our license right now. But
no, that's interesting because now
totally
I actually that gives perspective to. I'm like, why it would be so easy. Like there's bars that I go to that I was like, why don't they just like I used to really like beer, and it's been probably 15 years that I rarely have a beer. Like I just don't do gluten at all. And I would walk into places and I'm like, why don't they just keep like a 6-pack of gluten-free beer behind the bar? But that, I mean, if you're a brewery, that makes sense that there's all this red tape and stuff.
There's a lot of rules in place. And it's crazy how many just exist from like the days of Prohibition and stuff. I mean, it's just it's nuts. But there's a lot of rules in place that just don't make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah.
And we're slowly but surely like chipping away at them. But it's like, we're trying. I mean, CCBA and various organizations, we're trying to kind of update things. And I mean, it's, but I totally hear you. It's, it sucks.
Well, thank you for hearing me. I feel heard. I feel seen. Cheers, Dan. I'm gonna take off. I really appreciate the conversation. I'm gonna go watch Emily's set.
Okay.
All right.
That sounds like a great idea.
Thanks for being here. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Bye, Krista. Bye. Thanks for stopping in. I'm gonna give her compliments now, but she doesn't listen. So, full disclosure about Krista Fatka, who is one of my favorite people. And if you're booking a show for the first time, you would be a fool not to reach out to Krista to have her feature her headline. She's truly wonderful. But the first time I saw her, I'd heard so many great things about her. And then I saw the set. I'm like, I don't really get it. I don't get it. But this is a comedy competition where like you're very controlled, but like her crowd work is so phenomenal. Like
really?
I saw her do a longer set. I'm like, oh my God. Like, because when you're doing a competition, you're 5 to 10 minutes. You've got to kind of keep it tight. You can't really go off script. But she has like these great quick punchlines. She's got these longer bits that are like so well thought out. And then her crowd work's just phenomenally good.
I have seen her too. Like, it's coming back to me.
And I'm like, younger me was stupid. She is truly great and lived up to all the hype that I'd heard before I saw her for the first time.
Well, I have to admit too. I mean, I always liked a good comedy show or whatever, but it wasn't until I was watching the regular comedy shows here where I started to see just how different what an art it was. I mean, there's definitely been a few people that are more comfortable in front of the crowd, and they immediately get up there, and you can just tell that they own that room. And I mean, and it's like it's from the very beginning they just have so much control and this like just this almost like supernatural like foreshadowing. They take the crowd on this journey and still manage to surprise them and have like a funny punchline and stuff. And it's just an art. It's like something I've grown to really appreciate. I mean, I know a lot of funny people, but I don't know a lot of people that could get up there on that stage and could be as funny on that stage or more funny than they are like just goofing, shooting the shit with friends, you know?
Yeah, I always like seeing comedians that aren't funny as people. Like when you're just out in the world and talking to them, they're not funny at all.
Really?
And then they're on stage, they're super funny. Like I remember I was hosting a comedy competition, not the same one Krista was on. It was like a few years before, and I was like, "Well, I'm hosting a show that's got all these comics from like all over America are coming to this venue, and I'm hosting it. I'm like, hey, if you guys want to meet up for a beer and like talk about like what this scene's like and like what the contest is like, let's do that." And so I think about 80% of them showed up to like grab a beer down the street from the venue. And this one guy is like, he's so uninteresting and boring. And why is he here? He looks like any person you'd see on the street. There's nothing compelling about this person. Even conversationally, I don't like this person. Yeah. And then I saw him on stage and I was like, oh my God, this dude is so funny on stage. It's like unbelievable. But as a human being, like he's just cardboard.
Yeah, some people just really have this talent for just being up on stage like that. It's cool. I wish I had that. A few more beers maybe, but it's really cool to witness when people get up there, and it's like you can tell they're born to just perform. Yeah. But so you live in Sacramento, you're saying?
Yes.
So what breweries do you frequent up there?
Oh man. Not as much because this podcast makes it really hard to like go back to the same place. I got to run all over, and like I always feel like I'm letting people down. But like Moxa, obviously, Crooked Lane, Tilted Mash, let's see, New Glory. I love those guys. Moonraker, Auburn Ale House, my old school favorite. It's the place.
So are you more in that kind of North County area? Or
I'm currently in Roseville, so I'm right around those guys. But like, just honestly, they make the better beers.
Well, I mean,
as far as that goes,
I always joke the water there must be really good because it's like there's just
there's no bad Auburn brewery. It doesn't exist. It doesn't exist.
I mean, I really think that there's a geographic kind of triangle or whatever there, circle that of breweries there that are just some of the most phenomenal in the world, and it's like. Sort of a secret, but not really. But
like, I hate naming favorite breweries because it's so hard. Like Bike Dog, Device. Like you can't. Yeah. There's so many. It's like you feel like you're like forgetting something every time like you bring it up. It's.
I go up to Sacramento fairly frequently just because it's such a bustling like healthy beer scene right now, and a lot of events are up there and whatnot, and it's
even if we're talking like Flatland, Burning Barrel, who you guys did a collaboration with before they opened. Like that's my first Hop Dogma beer was at Burning Barrel.
Oh really? Yeah, those guys are great. Like they're awesome dudes.
And you're like Claim Steak. God, it just keeps going. I hate it.
Claim Steak, the West Coast IPAs at Claim Steak are just so killer. Yeah. And Urban Roots. God, there's just so many.
It's awful. I hate it. It's like the worst thing because I wish I could be at all these places all the time, and I'm very rarely at any of them. It's truly terrible.
There's certainly no shortage there. I wouldn't necessarily want to be a brewery up there right now. There's just so many.
You're fighting for every dollar.
Yeah. But I was the idiot who opened a brewery in like a town of 3,000 people, though. So I mean,
with no competition, minimal competition.
It is over. The market's maybe a little oversaturated or whatnot, but there really is a tremendous amount of good beer out there right now. I mean, it's everyone's pushing to like stay relevant and everything, and it's just making everyone produce better beer, and so it's a really cool time to be making beer and to be into beer. I think calling this a beer renaissance is no understatement.
Yeah. For sure. Sorry, I got to say one more. Mirage with their sours, just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, Mike makes incredible sours and
I hate
wild
this.
ales.
This is the worst question I've ever been asked. I've been asked so many questions. I never want to answer that question again.
Sorry. I just
because I feel like I'm like, how many people are going to be mad that I didn't name them?
Oh, there's so many. I mean, like, I still, I've always
and like how far, and like the other question is how far is Sacramento? Like when you say Sacramento, are you considering Davis? Because then you got Dunlow, you got Sudwork, you got. I hate you.
Sorry,
Dan. I've been a big fan till right now.
No, I I get asked all the time in the bar, what's your favorite beer? And I hate that question too, because I'm just like, it depends on my mood. It depends on, it's like, did I just work a 12-hour shift and I'm like, I'm just really thirsty. I want something super refreshing and crisp or,
it's like, or have I worked 12 hours and I'm exhausted and I want something that puts me to sleep.
Yeah.
That's two different answers to the same question.
A lot of people don't like that. They look at you just kind of like, well, I get this all the time and people think they're being clever and I kind of just laugh. They go, what's your favorite beer? 3, 2, 1. And they do the countdown in front of me and I'm like, I'm not going to do that.
Like when I was 25, I definitely had an answer to that question. When I was a douchebag new beer guy, it was like, oh, it's got to be like the Abyss from Deschutes. Like that was probably my answer because it's fucking
great beer.
So good.
Yeah.
I'm like,
still one of the I'll drink that beer any day.
Yeah. Although not initial, like now they don't really sell it away as much, so they give it to you kind of raw. And you got to wait a year still, like encourage cellaring. But like you used to do this for me. But I used to love that. But like, I don't try to. I'm not out here to impress anybody with a beer. I can't do it. Yeah. Have I been told Guinness is the best beer on earth, and then been like, no, come with me. I'm going to give you a Black Boot Porter, or like Barney Flats Oatmeal Stout from Anderson Valley. Mm-hmm. I've definitely drunk that in an alleyway with a homeless man outside of a bar, just to prove to him that
funny. I did that.
Guinness was not the best stout. And I just wanted to know I won that argument.
Well, that beer, I remember. So when I was getting very serious about opening Hop Dogma, my friend and original, he was one of the founders of Hop Dogma. He's not involved on the same level anymore, but he's still a great friend and planning to make a comeback here. But him and I were up at Anderson Valley, and we kind of we drove to Tippa, Oregon, or Tippa, Washington, and back, and just kind of.
Now, since you said Tippa, Washington, Tippa, Oregon, like the very northmost part of Washington, or like
kind of to the Washington, the Oregon-Washington border, yeah. And we were just going to every brewery we could along this route.
That's
and
a lot.
Yeah, it was. But one of the first ones we went to was Anderson Valley, and it was so cool because Fal Allen was working that day, the brewmaster there, and he was so cool. He literally, he basically approached us. He could tell we were beer nerds, and he was like, you guys want a tour? And he gave us the coolest tour that I've ever been on, honestly. I mean, he spent so much time with us, walked us through the whole facility, told us everything they do there, and then we got to taste, it was the Wild Turkey bourbon barrel aged Barney Flat, or it was just
whiskey barrel something. I don't know.
Yeah, it was just. I'd never had a beer like that at that point in time. I really hadn't. I'd never had something like that before, and it was one of those moments where I just kind of was taken aback and just staring at the glass, and I was like, wow. And so I mean, just you mentioning that beer just made me just think of that. That it's just.
It's so good. Yeah. And like nobody drinks it anymore.
Yeah, I know. And there's so many of those guys that, might be considered old school, or you could, throw any of that language at it that is out there, but it's but they're still great beers, and
like their gozas are ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, that's probably the first goza I ever like really got into,
When I see it at a bar, I'm like, I have to order it.
Yeah.
Just it's required by law. Or the Hink, the Kimmy, the whatever. It's a long name. I don't remember it, but it's.
I just went. My wife and I went down to Avila Beach for anniversary, and we were driving back, and I literally just pulled off on an exit, and she was like, "What are you doing?" I was like, "I just got to go to Firestone real quick," and I pulled in, and they have, I think they call it like the atrium or something like that. I just walked in, and I was like, "You guys got any fresh pivo?" And they were like, "Yeah, actually." And got 2 cases of it, and it's still one of my favorite beers. I love that beer. When it's fresh to me, that's like one of the best beers out there. I just love that beer.
And if you go back to episode 1, it's what we drank at Rick's bar when he had just opened the Owl Club in Roseville, and I hated it. And I'd like to go back on that and say I was wrong. But Firestone Walker is my favorite brewery of all time.
Really?
Because they do so many things so well.
They do.
And they keep innovating, and like just
they're still so relevant despite just being so big. And I have nothing but respect for those guys. It's hard to do that. I mean, I Sierra Nevada comes to mind, and I mean, not much else. I mean, these guys that had success growing, these guys that grew, and got really big, and then the whole craft beer boom hit, and
what they've done is like impossible now. You can't do that.
You can. I don't think
you can never be. It's not going to happen.
It's not going to happen anymore.
It's not going to. Everybody's so focused on local. There's no way to be. Even being regional is almost impossible.
Yeah, very much so. I mean, we're in very different time now.
Very different.
I have people approach me all the time. They're like, so if Anheuser-Busch approached you with $1 billion, would you take it? And at first I'm like, have you seen the size of my brewery, man? They're not coming for this. But it's just different times that we're in, and I embrace it from a brewer standpoint. It's like we opted for a 10-barrel system because I was like, you know what? If I make a 10-barrel batch, I can ensure this is going to be fresh when my customers drink it.
Yeah.
I've done 60-barrel batches before, like contract brewing, and it was a nightmare trying to get that stuff sold while it was still tasting good in this market, right now.
And that's everything. One bad beer can tank you.
Oh, yeah.
It's nuts.
Well, I mean, we're very much clawing our way out of. This company is such a funny story because we've just been through so many ups and downs, but that last when we had to move, I mean, we were at kind of the pinnacle of our popularity and everything, and when we were brewing in Richmond, we weren't necessarily making the best beer that we could. We were trying, but it was very challenging given the circumstances. It was hard.
Yeah.
It's crazy how quick the beer community, I mean, it just passes you by. It's like, there's a new hot one opening up all the time. There's, staying relevant is really hard. And I'm also one of those people who I always want to support my fellow industry, friends, and I try not to ever talk down upon any of them or anything like that. And so but at the same time, when you're posting on Instagram or Facebook and you're trying to show what you're doing and how you're doing it differently and how you're the attention to detail that you're doing, I mean it's like I said, I mean we're clawing our way back, and we're succeeding. We're doing great. I gotta admit, I had doubts when we moved.
Yeah.
That we could
why wouldn't you?
That we could ever recover from it, and we've done better than I possibly could have imagined. I mean, we're gonna be okay, But the current market is a trip. It's crazy.
I don't know how anybody does
that was
anything that they're doing. I really don't know how anybody survives. But I also know how they survive. But it's this constant push for innovation. There's no flagships. Do you have a flagship beer? Would you say you have a flagship beer?
One, our Alpha Dank, IPA.
Okay,
that's the only one that
it's a great name.
Yeah,
it's already king shit Alpha. And then Dank, we all love the word.
We've actually kind of tried to put that one away now and then. Let's do something else. But then customers are like, where is it?
Yeah.
And we're in a funny spot here. I feel like we're in our own little bubble in Half Moon Bay because we have during the week, we have a little bit different of a crowd. I mean, it's not so much, and I say this, love, with endearment, or I say this term with endearment. Like, we don't get the hipster crowd like during the week. It's not.
I don't think many people do. The Tuesday through Thursday crowd really is there for, like, I like beer.
Yeah,
I like a good beer that I can trust and rely.
Yeah, we get locals.
But like on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you want to impress your friends with the cool new thing. Like,
yeah, and that's the like. Okay, so maybe we're not in a bubble, but I feel like we're that situation on steroids, if that makes sense. It's like, because during the week, it's like we have guys that are 80 years old in the bar every single day, and they're just it's something exciting for them every day to get out and go have a beer in there, and they're more into like a classic style, and I totally get it. I mean, I drink a ton of lager. I'm like a lager guy. But then Friday through Sunday rolls around, and we're getting like the tourist and kind of a younger crowd, and they're coming in, and it's like, we better have 4 to 6 IPAs on the board and all that stuff, and I'm happy to do it. It's fun for me because that's what I like making, but that's kind of the environment we're in here. It's funny.
I think that's pretty much across the board. People don't really acknowledge it, but like when you go to a brewery on a Tuesday, it's a different vibe than a Friday by so many levels. Like, so much more Kolsch is going out, so much more porter. Yeah. If you have a red on, you're gonna crush it on a Wednesday. Like, you're doing
it's
fine.
So funny. Yeah, I mean, I won't say what brewery it was, but I was in Sacramento area. I was there it was like a Sunday night, or maybe it was a Monday night. It was a Monday night. Just a quick trip, and popped in there, and I was expecting it just to be like packed and whatever. And I walk in, and there was like 2 people in there. Yeah. But if you looked at these people's like Instagram and everything, I mean, you would think that they're just like running out of beer and
all the time. Yeah.
And so it's funny. I mean, that's good marketing is what that is. But I mean, the during the week is a very different story.
It's a very different animal.
Yeah.
Going to a place on a Monday or a Tuesday versus going on a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it's devastatingly different.
Yeah. And I mean, as a consumer like me, when I go, I mean, I purposely try and pick those days because I'm like,
Yeah, you can get in, get out.
Yeah.
Nobody's going to ask you questions. They're not going to acknowledge that, hey, aren't you the guy?
Yeah.
Ignore it. Yeah. I want to go back to this because it's in my head now, and I'm not going to let it go. So we were talking about brewery tours. You went to Anderson Valley to give you a really cool tour. I feel like I was spoiled with my first brewery tour because I went to Allagash. Oh. And they give you samples of all this stuff. Yeah. And they take you through every level of what they're doing. And I'll never stop thinking about it. They bring you into their barrel room of stuff they're working on for the future. It's like, this will be out in like a year or 2 or 3 years. This is probably 9-10 years ago. There's this barrel labeled Mad Madam Mim. And like, I'm not going to lie, for like a decade, I've been like, is this beer available? And it's not. And I'm like, I want that. I'm sure they released it as some other name. But I want Mad Madam Mim.
Yeah.
I don't know what it became. And every day I'm like, maybe today is the thing. And like, I don't think I've gone on a better brewery tour than an Allagash brewery tour.
Really?
It's so cool.
Have you done the New Russian River yet?
I have not yet. I've heard great things.
I mean, God, like the passion and quality control and everything, it just oozes out of that place when you're walking through it. I mean, it's like, it's so cool. I wanted to hate it so bad.
Yeah,
but I mean, I went through it and I'm like, it's beautiful what they've done. I mean, it's so beautiful, and it's like everything was thought out meticulously, and you go on this path, and it's you honestly you finish that tour, and there's this just feeling of satisfaction as a brewer. It's like. This craft is not lost here. It's like it's very much alive. It's like they are doing everything they can to make sure that the beer is the best it can possibly taste by the time it reaches your glass. I mean, it's incredible. You should definitely do it.
I got to find the time.
I know.
Life is impossible.
I know.
Solid dream. All right, I think we should probably wrap it up and get out of here. What do you think?
Yep.
You've got a life to live.
Well, to end it though, this beer that we just drank is the Ales for ALS beer this year. So I just wanted, like, tomorrow, I know this podcast won't be out by tomorrow, but we'll have this beer on for a while, and we named it Number 4 Monument Park after Lou Gehrig,
cool.
who famously passed away from ALS.
Lou Gehrig's disease, now ALS. Yes.
And the Yakima Chief hops, they made a special blend for this year that is really killer, and they donated the hops to all participating breweries, and we do basically $1 for every pint sold. We donate to the ALS. I think it's the ALS ATI, or it's basically the research and development foundation for finding a cure and treatments for ALS. And tomorrow's the Ales for ALS festival at Faction, which we're super super excited about.
Go back episode 50. It's also available on YouTube, video version. Roger Davis, a lovely human being.
Yeah.
Very strange guy.
He's
love
a
him
strange
a
guy,
lot.
but he's great.
Yeah. So before we go, where can people find you guys online at Hop Dogma?
Hopdogma.com. We just made our new website. It's looking pretty slick. We're you can find our beer primarily in the greater San Jose area, Santa Cruz, and Peninsula, but a little bit East Bay, a little bit San Francisco, and we're looking to expand a little bit. But the best place to taste the freshest beer and everything is always right here. I gotta admit. So, but yeah, thanks so much, man. I had a blast. It was really fun.
Yeah, sorry to bother you. I know it's
great.
It's a hard life you got to live. Talking to me for an hour and a half. I'm very sorry. I want to shout out to Alex Love, who stopped in, Krista Fatka, Phil Griffiths, and then the other comics on the bill. We got Emily Van Dyke. We got Joanne Schinderly, my girlfriend Becky Lynn, which is the reason I'm here in the first place.
Yeah, all solid
all
comics.
Great. Super excited about it. Come out and watch the shows. Oh, speaking of, do you have any events coming up in the next month or two that people should check out besides Comedy Sharks, which is there's 2 different shows.
Second Thursday of the month, and the last Friday.
There we go.
We're not really. I mean, after tomorrow, we don't have any. We really don't have any events until the California Craft Beer Summit, which is in
LA this year.
Yeah, it's in
I'm
Long
out of
Beach.
town,
But we're really excited for that. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're slowly but surely getting better at posting about stuff, and so I would say Instagram's the best. Instagram's the best way to
at
keep
Hop
track
Dogma,
of us.
yes. Or is it Hop Dogma Brewing?
I think it's Hop Dogma.
I think it's just Hop Dogma.
Yeah, that's the best way. That's what I check the most, and that's the best way to keep up with us.
Absolutely. That's the case for everybody. And for Barley and Me, you can follow me across social media at Barley and Me Pod. Email questions, comments, concerns, guest ideas, brewery ideas to barleyandmepod@gmail.com or barleyandmepodcast@gmail.com. Either one works. I don't know. This has been episode 106. Dan Littlefield from Hop Dogma. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
And thanks so much for listening. Get home safe.